Welcome in to another episode of Hockey Royalty Live, the official podcast of hockeyroyalty.com. Tonight is episode 208, Late Night Heroics, where we'll be talking about the end of the Kings road trip, how the Kings did down the stretch. We're going to be talking about the new defensive pairings, maybe some odd ice time adjustments for some budding young defensemen, Kempe's contract, and looking into the future. So get in the chat, like and subscribe. You know what to do. Let's go. We are recording live in the middle of the eighth inning of the Dodgers game, or seventh inning of the Dodgers game. So we're seeing if they got some comeback late night heroics in them tonight. But we're going to be talking about our LA Kings. Before we jump in to the fray, Russell, Joe, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit. Actually, I've had better days watching these Dodgers kind of sell some of these games. Their bats have just not come alive the last two games. So it's been a little depressing to watch, especially today. It's been rough. But yeah, like you said, down by 4, seventh inning, holding out hope, but not much hope. How you doing, Joe?
I'm all right. Probably a little better than you. But you know what? I've been there seeing the bats go quiet against the Blue Jays pitching, no less. Ironically, right?
Surprising.
Yeah, you knew they had the offense, but this Savage kid can go, and you know they're playing well right now. So full marks to them. Randon, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. I did some starting intermittent fasting.
Okay.
You know? So I did a 4-day fast last week. I'm down 20 pounds in 5 days. And I actually feel pretty good. And so now I'm now doing the intermittent fasting where I'm just like eating like 4 hours out of the day, drinking tons of water, trying to work out a little bit there. So just, I got to like the heaviest I've ever been. And on a 6'5" frame, you always think that you don't look that too bad. And I'm like, 270 is too big, man. I'm getting close to 40. My knees can't probably handle it anymore. All the creaks and cracks and stuff. So, and then my girl's like, hey, you got to go get a physical and stuff like that. So I got to have the numbers look good when I go to the doctor. So,
Ken Holland would sign you.
What?
Ken Holland would sign you.
Oh, yes. Yeah. 6'5", 270 and a traffic cone on state. That'd be a deal.
Start tomorrow.
But the chat's already people in here. We got Al Smith. All right. Mikey Money, what up, fellas? Nav 21, sup, y'all? Kings Rule with hey guys, and Joe Rule 9 out of 10. Don't hate. Sting Gatskin, Scory Perry. He's gonna be one of our topics today, talking about the new addition into the lineup, getting real hot. But we're gonna break it down with the first topic here, which is gonna be the road trip recap. As mentioned, 9 out of 10 points on the road trip. A lot of overtime heroics, a lot of late game shots. Kempe definitely earning his the ticker going up on his contract as we speak. What do we think of the overall vibe of the road trip with the cap coming in San Jose last night?
It's hard, right? I mean, you watch a lot of these games and you feel underwhelmed by some of these performances. I mean, a lot of the same issues that were being shown on the ice before this road trip just kind of continued. They kept taking undisciplined penalties. Their defense, like there'd be defensive lapses all over the ice, even though they had some low-scoring games. But even then, especially, I guess, in San Jose. But, I mean, yeah, like our friend Jay Rowe here said, it's hard to argue like 9 out of 10 points. I mean, I get it. It's still early in the season, so I get both sides of the coin where you're kind of disappointed by the overall effort of some of these games. But you look, and right now, especially in the regular season, you're really just trying to rack up points until you get to the postseason. So I could see both sides, and that's kind of where I fall right now. Like, I could be totally upset about everything that we've seen, the penalties, like I said, some of the defense, there's the ice time distribution of some of these players. But at the end of the day, it is 9 out of 10 points. So that's kind of how I feel right now. And I'm just waiting to see like what happens now. Like, okay, like now you come back home. How do you respond after some of these maybe poor efforts on the road, even though you did get the points?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at a stretch like this. Like one, you can say, because listen, let's just call it like the hockey's not great. Okay, like that. Setting the results aside for right now, the hockey is just not very good right now. So there's two ways to look at this. You can be very concerned that this is not really good. We were worried about this coming into the season. It's not good. We're lucky they're picking up some points here. That's good. But boy, this is concerning. Or you can look at it and say, hey, they're not even playing good hockey right now, and they're racking up points. Wait till they start to get their groove and find things and figure things out and play the way that they want to play. This team could really settle in, and hey, maybe we've got ourselves a division contender on our hands. Like those, there's two ways to look at that. You probably know where I fall. But yeah, like looking at the road trip, listen, yes, 4-0-1, you take that and run. Another reason, by the way, don't care about home and road splits from one year to the next. It just doesn't matter. But when you look at Russ, of the 5 games, 4 games, they had less than 2 expected goals for at 5-on-5. Nothing. Now the good thing is, in 3 of the games defensively, they allowed less than 2. So in a couple of these games, it was very much the boring LA Kings hockey that we've been used to seeing. But like we've seen boring in the past, but I felt like it was boring, but there was a purpose, if that makes sense. Like you could tell, and there was like there was a plan, there was like a structure, and there was like they were like a anaconda just slowly squeezing the life out of a team and just burying chances when they got them. I didn't have that sense in these boring games. I just got, this is bad hockey. And they came out on top. So credit them for getting out on top. And I do give credit for, you know what, if they're not playing great hockey and you're still coming away with points, that's a positive. That's a really good thing. So that's good. But yeah, not exactly the most inspiring hockey. But as Jay Rose says, 9 out of 10, it's you can't complain about it from a result standpoint.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the other way around it. I mean, exciting or a good hockey, I don't really care. The team was without their captain. You had a young player who doesn't play center step up into a role that he's not used to playing, and you still win points. So you haven't won in Dallas in 1,000 years, and I got to go to that game and watch the overtime win. So they kind of got a monkey off their back there against traditionally a very good team. And OT has been the nemesis of this franchise, and they're winning a decent amount of games 3-on-3. I think it's because they have more horses to trust in the forward group in the overtime period. And so I think there's a lot of good positives there. I think the number one is we're seeing the passing of the torch. I mean, Kopitar has led this group in points pretty much every year that he's been an LA King, and Kempe is already running away with it. Now, obviously, Kopitar missed a couple games, but Kempe with 14 points in 11 games, over a point per game player. He's made 2 game-winning shots when the team needed him. And I think that there's lots of positives to look at about how this team is playing. This team identity isn't going to change because the personnel hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. So where's the positives in this team? And in the road trip and so far this season, we've seen until the end of the road trip, Q was a point per game player in Dallas. So he's kind of cooled off the last couple of games, but still 8 points in 11 games. That's a pretty good pace. You got Kempe doing really well. Fiala still has the goal touch, 5 goals, tied for first with Kempe, and Brent Clark is the best defenseman so far this season on the team, in my opinion. And we needed a big jump from him. So I think there's a lot of positives so far, and there's plenty of times to iron it out. We all know the adage, if by American Thanksgiving, if you're not in the playoff hunt, you really have a rough go at it. And in the beginning of the season, the Kings were second to last in the West. They were just really struggling. And so at least some things have improved. And I think good teams find ways to get points when they're not playing the best hockey. So I think that's kind of the positives to look at, out of it.
I'm actually surprised you went like super positive when you said I'm going to go a different way. I thought you were going to go like totally negative, because me and Joe, it seemed like we're kind of both on the fence of where to look at how the things are. And I think this road trip was like kind of what we all expected this team to be coming into the season. And it's really like, when I think of like what stood out to me, there's really been nothing. It's been exactly what I've expected this team to be coming this season. We'd seen some maybe up and down moments from Darcy Kemper, and I guess in net altogether. He had a great game in San Jose. So that's good to see that flash is still there where he can still steal games for the team. But I think overall defensively, I thought the team played pretty well on the road, especially the game in what was the game in St. Louis, I believe, where they just kind of shut things down. It was really LA Kings type game, even though it went to OT. But overall, like
too, they did it. They really locked it down like in the third.
Yeah, and then Nashville, they just kind of, I think it was 4-4, but it shouldn't have been that high scoring. But yeah, it's just like this team's gonna stick to their identity of playing just like hard defensive style hockey, and they kind of did that overall. I mean, there were some moments obviously in San Jose where that didn't really happen, but they're going to struggle to score goals because of the defensive style that they played, and that's pretty much what happened too. The top guys are playing pretty well, I would say. Adrian Kempe looks pretty good. Quentin Byfield, even though he kind of struggled at times, it still looks pretty good himself. The fourth line looks great, like we were all hoping it to look, especially with Corey Perry, who we'll talk about. But it's just defensively. I mean, Brant Clark is kind of still doing his thing, but he's not getting the minutes that were like we all expected it to be. I mean, none of us are surprised by his ice time distribution. So it's been pretty much all the same things that we expect coming into the year.
Yeah, there's been a couple of individual bright spots, right? I mean, you mentioned Clark, and I think Kempe is off to a really good start. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard to get like a good feel for it. Like, yeah, it's not really any surprising kind of. I think this is sort of like what we expected. It's just there's a couple of individuals that like are maybe noteworthy, but other than that, it is just kind of blah. It's pretty average. Like this has been a team like over the last handful of years. It's always like what them and the Carolina Hurricanes and Edmonton Oilers that are up in the best teams in the league in terms of shot share and shot quality and Corsi and expected goals. And this year, they're top 10. They're 10th in Corsi 4 per natural stat trick. They're like 17th in expected goals, 17th in scoring chances. They're like 19th in high danger share. So like, it's pretty mid, like it's pretty average right now. And I just the hesitation that I have is like you're playing like this, yet you just racked up a bunch of points on the road. So that's good. And it's a good thing that they did, Russ, because they're sitting in third place right now with 13 points, but they're only 3 points up on sixth, which is Vancouver. And Anaheim, it doesn't appear to be going away right now. They're only 2 points back. And I know we're really early days to be looking at standings, but I guess my point is, Randon mentioned, American Thanksgiving, which is just a few weeks away. And if that road trip is, 2 and 3 type of thing, well, they could be down where Vancouver is in sixth. And this is a totally different conversation. And play wise, they probably should be. But they got the results. And right now, that's what matters. It's just we're wondering, does the shoe fall here at some point? And does this kind of subpar play eventually catch up to them and it's going to be a big problem? Or can they steady the ship just enough, play just enough good defense, keep grabbing loser points because they're going to get games to overtime and maybe a shootout. Maybe they win those games because they're able to keep games low scoring. I just don't know. I'm nothing that I've seen has changed my overall thought on the team, on the season, and where I think they'll be. It's just I'm still verdict out as to like what direction does this team actually go, or did they just stay this blah average team all season, ride to third place in the Pacific, and that's it. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not declaring anything for the team. I think it would be too early to declare anything. Everything's been mid. The special teams is mid on both sides. They're ranked near the middle for both power play and PK. They got to be up there in most penalties taken. I don't know where that stat is at, but it's just sometimes you just got to get points. You got to find ways to win. And in the playoffs, it seemed like the Kings were always like the team to give up the game-winning goal instead of get the game-winning goal. And I think it's nice to see that in a couple of these games they found a way to win, even though they weren't playing good hockey. And I think that's kind of a positive there.
They're right there with Winnipeg, by the way, in terms of most minor penalties taken. Brandon,
it's been atrocious.
A lot of penalties. Yeah,
it's crazy. It just continues to happen. I don't get it. Just I think dumb penalties too. It's all dumb penalties. Like, keep your stick down. Keep it out of people's feet. Stop clearing the puck over the glass. It's just it's constant.
Don't give the referee the opportunity. I mean, the amount of time,
especially this early in the season.
They always call them tighter early, right? They always call them tighter early. And if you're a little lackadaisical with your stick, if you have your one arm off the stick, even if it doesn't look like a penalty on the slow-mo replay, if your one arm's off the stick and you're reaching, you're going to get a holding call. Yeah. You know, if you have your hands separated and you go into somebody's back, even if it doesn't look that forceful on a replay, when it's live, the referee sees this motion, you're going to get a cross check. You know, when your stick goes up in the guy's face, you don't get a high stick. It's kind of careless, it seems, at times right now. And obviously, hopefully that settles. And, you know, the fortunate thing for them against San Jose, Kemper was outstanding on the kill. And I want to hit San Jose quick, Brandon, before we may move off the road trip. But the one thing that stuck out to me was they had no answer for San Jose's speed. And that was something for me that, you know, I don't know that they've played a team this season really since Colorado that really pushes the pace like that, like San Jose did. And that's a concern because this Kings team is older, they're slower, and they're less talented, particularly on the back end. So how do they handle a team like a Colorado, like a San Jose, San Jose is obviously extremely inexperienced, but they can move? How do they handle Utah when they play that team? That's interesting to me. Because they've done well against some, like St. Louis, Nashville, Chicago. You know, Vegas has always been sort of like a mirror image of LA, just better. You know, so but stylistically, these teams with the really high tempo, the really high pace, the really high skill, the Colorados and the San Jose's, you know, those are two that you know, it's 2 games, and I don't know, I'm just kind of filing it away to see how do they manage these games against these teams that can really skate and push the pace like that.
I mean, the early returns on Celebrini, I mean, he might make a case for the Olympic roster. Like, that's just – he looks good. Will Smith looks good. And, you know, I've always liked Eklund. So, I mean, they have a lot of young players, and that team, it seems like the front office is making a lot of good, like, free agency buys and stuff like that. So, I mean, with the right moves here and there and the progression of their players, San Jose is going to be a problem.
Yeah, can I still feel like some games so they don't get McKenna too?
Yeah, I know, right? I still think San Jose and Chicago are still like, I think they're definitely still a couple years away. I think Anaheim's really close. But San Jose and Chicago, they're showing some signs of life, Brandon, but
they tore it down to the nubs. Like,
true. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to get your 4 or 5 top 5 picks, and then your 2 years after that and all that good stuff. So, but I mean, one of the things in the preseason thing I wanted to look for is all this new young talent and how they've progressed. And Celebrini looks outstanding.
Yeah,
Bedard gets a hat trick. Demidov from Montreal has looked excellent to start the season. And a lot of these young guys are getting like really thick contracts, like Logan Cooley. We'll talk about that. Lane Hudson ended up signing his. So the new regime in hockey is definitely making their presence known. So I just think it's just very interesting to see how that's changed, especially when the greatest king probably to play to wear the jersey is retiring this year. Like, taking a look into the future of hockey and what stars are going to be there to push it forward. It's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Real quick, Tofu Toma wants to know, he said, how about the Flames, Joe?
Have
you been watching them?
No, I haven't seen much of the Flames this year. And it's funny because I think it was last year I was like last year, 2 years ago, I was kind of like, you know what, I think I'm out on them. They burned me too much. And last year they had that surprising season. I definitely didn't expect this season to be as good as last season. I can't say I expected this poor of a start. But yeah, not good. And, this is not a good thing because as Russ has predicted now for a couple of months, all this is pointing to is Rasmus Anderson going to Vegas. And that's a huge problem. So we just better hope that doesn't happen.
The huge problem for me is when I make improper bets. But I use all my bets here at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of THPN. The NBA season tips off, and so does DraftKings' newest fantasy game. DraftKings Pick 6 is the easiest way to play for big wins, with every postseason giving you a shot at real money. Here's how to play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more stats and unlock every upside the game brings. Pick 6 available in Texas, California, Missouri, and more. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus bets with just $5 entry on their first pick set. Don't just watch basketball, cash in. Download DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5 and get 50 in Pick 6 bonus bets. Make the call. Ride the upside in your partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded in non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire within 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. And that'll bring us into our next segment here, Coast to Coast. We're going to be talking about teams around the league and the new stuff going on everywhere outside of LA. So get in and we'll talk about some of the teams going around the league. The first thing that we're going to be talking about here is going to be the new contracts that have been divvied out. Logan Cooley getting the bag and Harley for the Dallas Stars getting the bag. So these young stars bring it in. I thought it was interesting that Harley got a front-loaded contract, so he'll be making 13 plus million next year, and then it'll taper down as he goes along in his contract. And then Logan Cooley decided to bet on himself and not take the 8x8, and so they decided to up it a couple mil. Utah in first place and decided to sign the 8x10. What are you guys thinking about these young bucks getting their bread?
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying, right? Like, you got the young talent, and they've shown any sort of flash that they can be perennial superstars in the league, because that's what both these players are, superstars. Like, you're talking about Thomas Harley, who's probably a top 10 defenseman in the league right now. I don't think that's out of the realm to say. Logan Cooley, probably, like you mentioned, with the up there in the echelon, and maybe the Celebrinis and the Bedards. I'd put him up there, especially with the way the Mammoth are playing. So yeah, you got the young talent, pay him early, and those contracts will be looking great later on. It's worked for a lot of teams, and you would hope that the Kings maybe start to take notice of that sooner or later with some of their young talent too. But
yeah, I agree with these are no brainers. I mean, Harley's an absolute stud defenseman, and Logan Cooley right now. Just to talk about the Mammoth for a second, like this is a fun freaking team. And the line of Cooley, Gunther, and JJ Peterka is one of the most exciting lines in hockey right now. They're doing a ton of damage, and I don't know that I expect. They're first in the West, which I don't know that I expect that to continue. But I love this team. I think they're for real. I think there's a lot to be excited about there. They got an owner that's excited. Got an owner that wants to make splashes and spend money and do what he's got to do to try to get the team to where it needs to be. So I don't think Utah's going anywhere. They're on the upswing, that's for sure. So Randon, I love these deals. This goes back to like when Kempe was that free agent it may not have been possible. Like I say this understanding, like we don't know what the player wanted. We don't know what those negotiations were like, but as an outsider, as a fan, if you will, I'm hoping for that 8x, pay him the extra, because what his money was light. It was like $6 million for Kempe, right? When he signed his deal, I was give him 8.5, give him 9, because you were going to pay. We knew his next contract was going to be double digits, right? It's just a matter of how many years. And the problem is now, you could have bought a couple of extra years there, but now you're paying him, and he's going to be a little bit older when he signs this deal. But whenever that is, and with whoever that is, but this is the way to do it. I love these teams that are willing to do this. It's a little bit of a risk, but you have to have an organization that's willing to take some risk. And if you believe in the players, if you believe in the player that you drafted that high and you had that much conviction in, then go sign them. And they've so far, they look like they're going to be great deals.
Yeah, I really like Logan Cooley, and Thomas Harley is just, watching him at the Dallas game.
Yeah.
Do you think him and Heiskanen are the best 1-2 punch in hockey?
Defensively?
Yeah.
Be pretty tough to.
Makar and Taves is probably right next to him, but
Yeah.
I think Makar's probably the best defenseman, but I could easily see. You probably have if I had to rank those four, I'd say like Makar and then Heiskanen and Harley and then Taves.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see it random for sure.
Fun times in Dallas there.
And I see Gwendolyn, like she mentions Keller's name because he was one of the first ones that teams did this with. And was Armstrong the GM that signed Keller? This was a few years back at this point. Like it was at the time, it was like a 7 by 7.5 or something like that deal that I could be a little off here on the details, but I think it was a long-term deal for Clayton Keller that had not yet done a whole lot at all. And it was like, what are they doing? But it's like, no, this is the way forward. This is the way this should be done. And that's paid off. He's now the captain of the team, so that's paid off. So yeah, I'm on board with that. And if you got your guys, and I know LA's had a couple opportunities here in recent years with Byfield, with Kempe, and they'll have another opportunity here with both of those. Or they just signed Byfield, sort of. They didn't do this, right? They didn't do the 8-year deal. But with Kempe come in and Brandt Clark waiting in the wings, like they'll have a couple opportunities. We'll see how they handle that. But I love these teams that do this.
John Chayka signed that deal with him.
Chayka
he was 21 years old when he signed that 8-year by 7. Coming off, I think, 47 point season.
Yeah, and I think there's that turned a lot of heads at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first ones.
And to tie this to the Kings, it's like, would any Kings fan be upset if tomorrow an 8 by 7 was announced for Brandt Clark? I think we all probably agree he's probably worth that in the future, probably more.
Oh yeah,
I think that'd be an absolute bargain.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I wouldn't know if I'd sign that if I'm Clark.
No, I would definitely not. But yeah.
I saw 13 minutes a night, that's what it is. I think it's something interesting just to think about with how teams present those types of deals. We do got a fan question for the Coast to Coast. Adam coming in here. Any team that's fully surprising you guys?
Ooh.
Fully surprising. If I had to pick one team that's been a surprise, it's probably Seattle. Like I didn't.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right now, they're second in the Pacific, and I'm not a believer. Like you look at Montreal, they're first right now in the Eastern and the Atlantic. Detroit's right behind them and second in the Atlantic. Those are two teams I had out of the playoffs, but like. It's not so surprising because Montreal made the playoffs last year, and there's so much talent on that team. Detroit, it's been this long kind of, are they ever going to do it? So the fact that they're in these good spots and having these good starts isn't necessarily so shocking. But I would say Seattle right now is a pretty surprising team for me because I don't know. I know there's like a whole lot of depth there, and they're just kind of, they're good skaters and whatnot, but I don't see a whole lot there. But here they sit, second place in the Pacific.
Yeah, I'm going to go in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to say Pittsburgh. I don't even think they're
good shot. Yeah,
or as I think they're pretty surprised with how well they're playing too right now. I think a lot of it kind of like when you have those players, like, everyone knows what I'm talking about, like Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Carlson. when you have those players and all the talk over the offseason was like, oh, let's get Crosby out of there. Like they're not going to make the playoffs. Like that's got to drive those like superstars to be like, okay, like let's settle it down here. And they have some pretty good complementary pieces. I think some of the young defensemen, Bernicki, I think is one of his name. There's some other guys there that have they've been playing well. I was listening to PDO cast. They were talking about Pittsburgh too a little bit, but I mean, they're 7-2. It's a pretty good start. And I think another team too is that we'll see the Kings play tomorrow is Detroit. They had a really rough start, and then McClellan made those comments about these guys need to figure out how to play hockey again, and all of a sudden they're 7-3. So they have the talent. I think it's just always been like, when is it eventually going to show up? And it seems like it's showing up now. So tomorrow will be a good game. I'm excited to watch it.
Next question. A talking point around the league I want to talk about is the strong play from New Jersey. God, they have such a fun and skilled team. What do you guys think about New Jersey's start?
I think we've been talking about them for a few years now. I'm in. Like if it's just Jack Hughes, if they're healthy, they were so injured last year. They had goaltending injuries at times. Hughes, I think Luke Hughes even was hurt at some point. Dougie Hamilton missed like half the season. Like they were so banged up. Timo Meier was not healthy all year. When this team's healthy, they're a cup contender for me. Like if they go into playoffs healthy, that's a cup contender and a legit one. So that is actually not a surprise to me. The only surprise to me is that they struggled to make playoffs last year but that was due to health. They're awesome. The pace they play with, talk about that with guys like, man, Jesper Bratt is so good. I love Nico Hischier, Dawson Mercer. Like there's players on this team. These guys can go. This is a really, really fun team. And the only thing that holds these guys back is health. And I think that East is pretty open. Like Toronto's way down this year. Florida's really banged up. You'll never count them out if it gets down to playoffs and whatnot. But I don't know that there's like a team in the East that's like head and shoulders above anybody. For me, it's Carolina and New Jersey right now that are the top two teams in that conference. New Jersey's for real.
Yeah, definitely one of the deepest teams in the NHL. And I'm with Joe. Pretty much, I think they were one of my cup picks, or like I picked them to go to the cup last year.
Yeah,
it didn't happen. So, but yeah, this is not really a surprise. I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up making it to the cup this year. The way how deep they are.
Jack played on wing in the Four Nations. Where do you think he sits? I mean, a lot of scrutiny has been with Auston Matthews not coming up in like the big moments, and he wore the C in the last couple international meetings. Do you still think Auston Matthews kind of gets that run, or do you think that Jack Hughes will be the 2C behind Eichel come the Olympics?
I think it'll be Matthews, but a healthy Jack Hughes is as good as it gets in the league, So however they do divvy that up, they're going to be in pretty good shape there. But I'm with you with the kind of point of the question, Randon. Like Jack Hughes should be in that conversation. He deserves to be in that conversation among the best players in the league.
I like it. One more thing. Is there any team that's kind of maybe not what you thought to start the season?
I'll go first. This is St. Louis. I've been disappointed with how they've been playing. I think I picked them to make the playoffs, and they just look awful. The Kings were able to kind of shut them down. I mean, we talked about that's like obviously the Kings' MO, but it felt like a get-right game for the Kings against St. Louis, even though it went to OT. But I've watched some of the Blues games, and I just come away kind of uninspired, even more so than I'd watched Kings games. So I don't know. It's still early, but I just was hoping for more there.
I was hoping for a little bit more out of Buffalo, although they've turned it on a bit lately. They just got Kesselring back. Doan has been back. They got Benson's playing. So they were dinged up the first few games of the season, but it was a pretty brutal start. But I think I was hoping for a little bit better, but they've slowly started to turn around. So we'll see. No, and I don't know if the question there in the chat, NYR, the Rangers. No, I don't think the Rangers are that good. So this isn't much of a surprise for me that they stink. I don't think they're that good.
Well, that will do it for us on Coast to Coast. We're going to jump back in here into Kings talk. And the bright side of the Kings has been the return of everybody's favorite, Corey Perry, here. And already third on the team in goals. So it just comes in, knows how to score, instantly put on power play one. And we thought that he could play anywhere on the line if they need him to play on the wing, where his, maybe permanent spot would be on the fourth line with Armia and Turcotte. What have you seen from his game and what he's brought to the team? And has it been more than what you kind of expected coming into the season?
I'd say the production is definitely what I expected. As far as like the type of play where he's being played and how he's been able to elevate the fourth line, I think that's kind of what we all hoped would happen, and it seems like it really is. But I mean, yeah, as far as the production, like it's been more than you could ask for. He's averaging 13 minutes a game, 13:42 a game, which is totally fine. I mean, you're not expecting Corey Perry to play more than 15. I mean, I'm sure there'll be other spot starts where he'll get like 17, 18 plus. But yeah, if he's playing 14, 15 minutes a night and producing the way he is, give him the power play minutes, even if he has to fall back to PP2 when everyone's healthy, which I think will happen, which is totally fine. It's that net front presence that we've been talking about for so long that this Kings team has desperately needed. And look what happens. They finally get one, and it's producing. It's working. So as long as Corey Perry can stay healthy, I think I don't know if the level of production will continue, but I think we'll start to see some of these dirty goals go in that maybe weren't going in before in these past Kings teams. So yeah, I'm loving every bit of it.
Yeah, it's been as expected. I mean, he already he's played 5 games and he's got 4 primary points, which is the second most on the team. And this is again coming in not exactly top line minutes. He's doing exactly what he was brought here to do, doing exactly what we thought he could do. Yeah, like I don't expect him to produce at this level, but I do expect him to produce. Like I think he's going to be around the net. He's a smart freaking hockey player, and if he's playing with guys like Turcotte and Armia, that I just really think that line's going to produce. Obviously with Fogel's injury, we haven't touched on that yet, but with Fogel's injury, we'll see how things kind of actually settle in here and what Hiller decides to do. Yeah, Perry's been great, and I know I get it that he spent so long and everybody hated him, but that was such a good signing for all the crap that we give Holland for what he did to the blue line. Like the signings of Armia and Perry were excellent. He's been great.
Yeah, it was good to see. I mean, I saw him, in Dallas, and he scored that first goal there, and it was just his typical Corey Perry goal. And there's a reason I think he was third in Edmonton in playoff scoring. There's a reason that he's just a smart hockey player that's good and knows exactly where to be. And so, he's going to be the bang for your buck type deal. He's going to get you the goals where you need it. You can play him in the final 2 minutes of the game. You can play him on the power play. And, like you said, Russ, I think there's going to be sometimes this year where he'll have to play 17, 18 minutes a night. But, for the most part, 13 to 15 and some power play, I think is going to be exactly what is needed for this team.
Yeah, where do you see it, Russ? Like obviously they played him a lot after Fogel went down, and maybe they'll stick with that for a bit here. How do you kind of see how this plays out here over the next little bit in Fogel's absence?
Yeah, I think they'll probably keep the lineup the way it was in San Jose. Malott scored. There hasn't been a lot of good consistency there. Like I saw Randon's tweet how he's like done with Malott, and I kind of agree with him. Like it's not that I'm done with him; it's just like I would like to see somebody else maybe there, maybe get a chance, get a look, and then he ends up scoring. I don't.
And you totally redeem yourself.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with that third line though, because yesterday, it didn't really look that good, and obviously it's a new line that's being put together.
Mm-hmm.
Deneau didn't even play that much, and I don't even know what's going on there. Hiller didn't say anything post game as far as injury or talk about the low minutes or anything. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But I'd be surprised if they maybe elevated Perry to that line, because And I actually probably would be a little disappointed because I like the way he's playing with Turcotte. I think him and Turcotte can kind of play off each other a little bit more. It gives Turcotte that kind of net front scoring presence to kind of work with his playmaking ability a little bit. So I would hope they just kind of keep that fourth line and maybe they have something else in the third line. In the works.
What I wonder with Milan, because he took the penalty and he lost an assignment on, I think it was their first goal, and if you watch his reaction, he knows it right away. Again, that man-on-man coverage that they play, it was Smith. The puck goes back around the net, and Smith came out to where he ended up scoring from, and Malat, instead of staying with him, followed the puck around the net. Then it was like, oh, I got to get back to where Smith is, and it was too late at that point, and he knew he messed up. So, you just wonder if some of those mistakes, the penalty, if that starts to be dings against him. But it was a heck of a shot on his goal, though.
Like, I get what he brings, I get what he brings, and every team needs a little bit of muscle and stuff like that. But there's just been a lot of mental mistakes with the penalties, and he hasn't until last night made up for it with points. And so there are a lot of forwards that they could bring up, and Nav's got a question here, which we'll get to in 1 second. You have an Akil Thomas, which all of a sudden he's left for dead. You have a Taylor Ward who's shown flashes when he's up here, or do you give another player a shot that is highly drafted in a Francisco Pinelli, who's got a little bit more offensive skill to his game, and get a cup of coffee while Phil goes out? So I think there's a lot of opportunities. Malat is obviously one favor with the team. I mean, he was brought up during the playoffs. He made the roster out of camp. So there's something there that they really like. Is it just young player, gaffes, or is it really like is there a ceiling to his game that he's never going to really be like a career NHLer, that he'll always be like that 13th forward that is maybe getting a little extra playing time? Time will tell. Nav coming here with our first $5 holla. Thank you, Nav, for the $5
Thanks,
there. If Fogel's out a bit, would you rather see Laff or Turk in his place? And if it's if Laffy is with 12-24, what are your thoughts on 22-15 or 55-15? So that's a two-part question, I guess. So first off, who would you rather see replace Fogel, LaFerriere or elevate Turcotte?
So none of the above. I want Turcotte to stay at center. I want Turcotte staying at center, playing with Corey Perry, ideally playing with Corey Perry and Joel Armia. That's what I want to see. So that leaves a call up, basically, because I'm not playing Jeff Malat with Deneau and Trevor Moore. So, is it a Taylor Ward? Is it an Andre Lee? Is it a Akil Thomas? Can one of them play next to Moore and Philippe Deneau? I don't know. And maybe that's where, Armia slides up there and one of those call-ups goes to the fourth line. I want Turcotte to stay down the middle. Like, I get the question, and Turcotte did look good on the wing a bit last year with Kopitar and Kempe. I think he is capable of being a better Blake Lizotte, fourth line, play driving, creative center, getting into scoring chance areas, creating plays. And I think if he gets consistent time with guys like that can put pucks in the net, like Armia is capable of doing in a fourth line role, and Corey Perry, as we've seen, capable of doing, I just think that can be really good. And I don't want to say that he can't do it on the wing and that it wouldn't work, because it very well might. But I think what you do there is I think you do take away from the fourth line. Like, I think there's a drop off from Turcotte to Hellenius personally, where that fourth line is not nearly as effective. That's just my opinion. Maybe it ends up working out okay, but that's my thought. I want to keep Turcotte down the middle, and I'd like to see one of the, Andre Lee, Akil Thomas, Taylor Ward get a call up, get a look. Now, whether that's third line or Armia plays third line, however they shake it out, that's my preference.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I love Turcotte, especially with Perry. I think if you move Turcotte to play with 22-55 or even with Deneau, it's something that you don't know if it's going to work, and you don't even know if the fourth line is going to work with Hellenius there. I think you have something really good there in the fourth line with Turcotte and Perry, at least, who even really and then anybody can pretty much play on the other side. I really like that duo playing together, so I want to keep them together. And as far as like Laffy, I think he's now starting to get back to the Alex Lefebvre, what
He is.
we all expected and saw pretty much most of the year last year. I had the concern at the start of the year with his kind of struggles a little bit. I wondered if maybe he wasn't fully healthy after that injury that he had in Utah during the preseason. And it sure seems like now he's fully getting back to that really just energetic play style that we're used to seeing. He's shooting the puck. He's had two really good shots now for goals. So I like what Laffy's kind of bringing with Byfield and Fiala, and I think that line, I want to keep them together and see if maybe they can find a lot of the good chemistry that they had toward the end of last year.
Laff was awesome in Chicago. He was the best player on the ice. He was awesome in Chicago. Now, I will say, Nav, I like where your brain's headed with 22, 55, 15. Like, it gets me going a little bit. I don't hate that. I just don't want to, Turcotte gets moved around quite a bit, I feel like. And I get it. Like, hey, if you're a fourth line guy, you're capable of playing multiple positions. That's kind of the role sometimes. You're going to get bounced around the lineup. I like him in the middle. I think it's best for the Kings if he's in the middle. I think it's best for him in the middle. I think he's better than Hellenius. So that's my preference.
I liked your comment in our private chat about Taylor Ward, because, I mean, I had put it out there like maybe you would kind of just assume it'd be maybe Akil Thomas or Andre Lee if it would be somebody that gets a look, but kind of overlooked Taylor Ward a little bit. Like, what did you kind of, or what do you see out of him? Maybe get him that look.
Brandon, remember, man, when they brought him in out of college back in the Making It Rain days, he just seemed to fit. Like, he's such a smart player. Like, you don't come up and then immediately you're playing the bumper position on the power play. You're fresh out of college. And he was doing it because I like players like this that have a brain. Like, he knows he's not going to be like a top 6 NHL player. Obviously, it's not his role, but he's such a smart player that you can play him in special teams. I think we saw him play special teams in preseason sometimes here and there, if I recall. Like, he's a smart player, and I think you play him with other smart players. Like, if they bring him up, because and I don't want to say, and Brandon, I appreciate your comment about like Akil Thomas is apparently like, just kind of left for dead now. And I don't want to just pass over him, but like, we have seen him a bit, and it hasn't yet clicked. And, Taylor Ward came up and scored a goal in his first game last year toward the end of the season. I just think he's off to a pretty good start. And actually, all three of those guys, Lee, Thomas, and Ward, are off to good starts production-wise, 5 or 6 points in 6 games with the Reign. I think a couple of them have points tonight. So production-wise, they're all there. But I just think I like Taylor Ward's kind of overall game. I like the smart players, and I think if I put him on the wing with Turcotte and Corey Perry, I think you'd be surprised that it's going to be kind of sneaky effective because he gets himself into good areas. He's got a quick release. He was really good in that bumper position, Rando, when we watched him when he was with the Reign a couple years back. Not to say he's going to get PP time, but to me, what that tells me is he's a cerebral player. He's a smart player. He knows where to find those soft areas. And obviously Marco Sturm saw it too, because he put him almost immediately on the power play on one of the better teams in the American Hockey League a few years back. So, and he's on it again. I just like his game. And we've seen looks for a couple guys. We've seen looks here for Hellenius. We've seen looks here a bit for Lee in the past. We've seen looks for Thomas. You know what? I'm here for Taylor Ward, and I don't know if it'll work, but I'm here to give him a look.
Yeah, I also think that he is a little bit of an edge to him too. He's not afraid to muck it up. I think he's, we call Turcotte that jigsaw piece or the Swiss Army knife, and I think Taylor Ward has got a little bit of that in him, just not the high end skill that Turcotte has. With the playmaker ability, I think he can shoot a little bit. He can do a little bit of pass. He's a very smart player. If you need him to muck it up and go hunt down pucks, he can do that. So it's just like a little bit of everything. And then I think the smart players for like a 4 or 5 game stretch, like, he could play on the fourth line. I wouldn't have a problem with that. It's kind of like if, when you have Tuna when Tuna needs to come in because of an injury, you're like, I have no problems with Jacob Bavare playing. And I think Taylor Ward kind of has that game. I think you look at like Hellenius. Yeah, Hellenius does need more time. to elevate his game at the National Hockey level. And I think Akil Thomas kind of needs a little bit more run as well. But like, see what you got. Who knows? I mean, there are plenty of players. If you have a cup of coffee and now he's your 13th forward and you can depend on him, or he earns a more permanent spot, which I find that would come at the expense of Laugh or something like that, but which I don't see happening. But it's good to know. I think it's also good to know that you have somebody in case you have an injury. What if you have an injury in the playoffs? Who are you going to call up and play some quality minutes? It's good to know that you have some of those guys, and 4 or 5 games here and see what you got. I don't see any problem with that.
And again, his goal last year when he came up, he played the one game. His goal was a power play goal. So, again, that tells me that the Kings do see a player here that is smart enough to play and to get himself into special teams areas, which means he has an offensive brain. That's all. Those are all little hints. Not everybody that gets called up is going to play power play just because he's up. And I get it. It was late in the season and it was a 1-game thing, so they could have, but they did, and it doesn't happen with everybody. So, and he's played power play consistently in Ontario. So, if I had to pick, I'd pick Ward, but I'm by no means would be upset if we see a Thomas or a Lee. I get it, and that's fine. But
I like it. I like it a lot. Let's bring it back over to one of our next topics. The defensive pairings were switched up, and they kind of had stayed the same across the road trip. What do we kind of feel with the new assignments, and now that we've seen them over a few games, and how long do we want to talk about Brent Clark?
Actually, it's funny because I was looking at some of the numbers over, at least during the road trip, and Anderson Ceci hasn't been terrible. I think Cece's numbers have actually been pretty positive with Anderson. So at least during this road trip. So I joked, give Mikey the Norris because of the way he's been able to elevate Cody Cece's game. But it's true. I mean, the way that Cece and Dumoulin started, it was just like a dumpster fire, and you kind of were at a last resort, getting to the point that you had to separate a defensive pair in Anderson and Doughty, that was just been your number one D pair for so long, it feels like. And now all of a sudden you have to break them up to try to figure out somewhere to play Cody Cece. And Mikey Anderson's doing an admirable job helping out his D partner. So that's been pretty good. I think Dumoulin and Doughty, they everybody's numbers struggled yesterday, so I'm not going to really look into that. But they've been overall, I think, pretty solid. So, and then Edmondson Clark, I mean, that's just pretty much always going to stay as long as Edmondson's around. So, yeah, I'm not jumping over the moon for these deep pairs. I mean, obviously there's some players here that are going to be here that we weren't too high on when they signed them. But, I mean, I think this is the best of what they can do at the moment. So it works. Keep it.
Clearly better than the start of the season, right? I mean, it was a low bar, but they've at least kind of steadied the ship a bit. It's tough break for Anderson that he spent so much playing, big minutes and for the most part, pretty good results. And now he's, I think I just was looking at Money Puck and they had that pair at 47% expected goals, right around where Edmondson Clark are as well. It's the unfortunate part is you've got defensemen that are just going to be held back and they're just going to be weighed down. Right. And that's right now that's Clark and that's Anderson. And, we talked about, hey, why not put Dumoulin with Clark, just to try to see. But I definitely have liked the Dumoulin Doughty pairing and I'm comfortable keeping that, I know they'll never go to Edmondson Cece because and I can't even blame them for not doing that. That's not an NHL D pair. But, Anderson Clark could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
That might not be bad. It's so the problem is, and this goes.
But they don't want to play Clark more than 13 minutes a night. So if you play him with Anderson, he's going to have to play 20 minutes.
Fair, good point. The problem is, and this goes back to what I say about when you intentionally limit your upside, don't be surprised when your upside is limited. Anderson has saved Cece to right now, but that is a problem. The fact that Anderson is now limited because he's got to prop him up. Clark is now limited because you're playing these guys with just guys that are just, unfortunately, again, I always like to say this, just they seem like fantastic human beings and fantastic guys, but like they're just not very good NHL defensemen. So it is going to limit how good your team can be when you're weighed down by, two your defensemen, especially one of them's playing with your best defenseman right now. One of them's playing with your best defensive defenseman, and so neither of them can be at their peak. Just the way this is shaking out, I mean, that's the part that stinks. Like we can sit here and look back and say, yeah, all right, like Anderson Cece's, it's made it capable, but what it really is doing is it's still hindering Mikey Anderson. And what not that he's going to be like an offensive threat, but it's taking away from what Mikey Anderson can be, and same for Clark, and that's the unfortunate part is they are on purpose limiting how good they can actually be
for the next 3 seasons.
Correct.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Well, that is the fact. That is true.
That is a truth fact.
So, Brandon, when do you want to? The floor is yours for Grant Clark, or?
Well, I mean, I pretty much, outside of reading Hiller his rights, I pretty much said it last week that I think it's asinine. Like I think he still is clearly the best player on the team, or the best defenseman. He's like what on the team, and he's playing 13 minutes a night, like as a defenseman, and it's just he's good in overtime. That last night, that goal, like he perfectly the way he skated to accept the pass and bring it up there, and sniper. The kid is smart. He's offensively gifted. He's got that moxie. I think he is not afraid of the big moments. He likes to antagonize other players, so I like that kind of ratness that he has in him, and he's not afraid to back up his words, man. Like I think he's playing the best defensive hockey on the team, and like why are we playing only 13 minutes a night? Like I just don't understand it. I don't get it. Like we're just I don't know. I mean, I've been saying it for a long time. Like you look at all these young players that are getting all this run, and they're developing. Like he is a top 10 freaking pick. Like, and I just don't understand. Like you look at Montreal, a second round pick in Lane Hudson. They found out what they had in him early, and they gave him more minutes, and now he's got this massive contract. You're looking at the. I mean, granted, he was a number 1 overall pick, but he's playing top minutes for the Islanders, and you see what you have in him. Like the cradling these players along and just like leaving breadcrumbs mentality that the Kings have drives me nuts. If you want a traffic cone for a defenseman, then don't draft Brant Clark. Draft somebody else. Don't trade for Kevin Fiala if you're not going to let Kev be Kev. Like I just don't understand. Yeah, it's nice. You bought a Ferrari in the draft and you never drive it. I'm going to drive my Toyota Corolla because it's supposed to be reliable. No, let that engine soar. Take it to the track. Let's see what it can do. I don't get it. The Kings, if they're going to win a playoff series, they need Brant Clark, and they need him playing more than 13 minutes a night. I'm sick and tired of watching him not be used. It makes no sense.
And the thing is, Brandon, in when he's played, like going back to last year too, like he's done what you expected. He's produced. Guy was having a heck of a start to the season last year. Point a game or whatever through 10, 11 games. He was having a really good season. He's produced. Look at this year, Brandon. So at 5-on-5, there's one player that has 4 goals at 5-on-5. It's Kevin Fiala. Okay. Then there's a handful of guys with 2. That's next. Brant Clark's in there. Only defenseman. Primary assists at 5-on-5. There are 2 guys with 4. Adrian Kempe, Brant Clark. Brant Clark leads this team in primary points with 6. Like that's what he's here for. And that's not to say that he has to be, because it's very un-LA Kings. He can't be like this riverboat gambler. They're not going to play him if he's going to go all offense, no defense. But I don't think that's what's happening here. Like, he's not going to be a perfect defenseman. He's always going to be a defenseman that's better going forward. So I get that. And so I actually think what Jim Hiller's done a good job with is limiting some of his starts, like in the D zone, and trying to give him more opportunity to be successful, which is great. I still think you can find more minutes for the kid. I know there's the excuse about a lot of penalties and he doesn't play penalty kill and all that. His 5-on-5 minutes are still not in the top 4, right? Like he can play more minutes. And again, I go back to, and I put this in the article I had out yesterday, it was like, it's not like or when Jordan Spence or Sean Dursey, like when they were playing third pair minutes behind Matt Roy, like they're not playing against or playing behind some sort of like rock solid defensive right shot D that the King is that's just what they value. It's Cody Ceci, guys. I mean, it shouldn't be a conversation. It's like, wow, what if Clark fails against tougher competition? He might, but we know Cody Ceci's failing against tougher competition. So what's the difference here? What is the difference? Let Clark see if he can do it. And hey, maybe you get a little bit of offense to go along with it. Like, you already see what's happening with the Ceci pair. And despite Anderson's best efforts, like it's still, it's going to be limited. So maybe just see if he can handle more minutes. I don't know. It's definitely very frustrating. Good on him. Hell of a goal. Underrated celebration too. I like that he had given to the crowd a little bit, and I love the point to Kempe. So I'm with you, Randon. I think it seems like pretty much every Kings fan is with it. Like, I think this kid's you got to find this kid more minutes. And I don't think that the penalties are enough of an excuse for me.
No, I don't buy that excuse at all. Because I just look at 5-on-5 numbers, and you can give me the excuse that maybe there's a couple seconds here and there after the shift's ended that he's out there, but no, that doesn't come into play at all. No, that's all BS to me. And you hit it on the nail on the head. They're not playing Cale Makar over this guy. They're playing Cody Ceci. So it's like, I'm just going to repeat exactly what you said. It's like, if you are really worried about getting less with Brandt Clark on the ice, you're getting that already. Like, look at the numbers with Cody Ceci. They're terrible. The worst in terms of relative expected goal share. I'm just spitting facts. This is what it is. So, I mean, trust him. He's trusting you. You're not trusting him back, even though everything you've said in front of a microphone has been, and I'm just going to quote Jim Hiller, what he said last night. I don't worry about Brandt Clark. I don't worry about him defensively at all. He knows how to play. He'll continue to get stronger. You obviously do worry about him defensively. Yes. You obviously do, because you don't want to give him the opportunity to play in those situations where he can show you that he can play defensively. There's a reason why the Kings were bogged down in the final seconds and final minutes of games during the playoff series against the Edmonton Oilers, because you kept putting out the same players that can't beat guys one-on-one or can't make a play with the puck and then constantly have to ice the puck. That happens when you put out those defensemen. It happens every time. So give Brandt Clark the opportunity to showcase those skills in a more high-pressure, high-intensity, defensive-minded situation, because I tell you what, if you give him the opportunity, he's going to show you that he can thrive there. I mean, look at the numbers that he had in Nashville. Were unreal. 22-4 shot attempts, like 14-0 in shots. And they just outscored the team with him on the ice 3-0. You played him 14 minutes in 5-on-5 that game. Who knows how that game could have turned out if it was maybe more than that? Because we know how it turned out. I mean, we know how it turned out when he didn't get the minutes. You ended up losing in a shootout because you ended up putting Deneau out there before Kevin Fiala for whatever God reason. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole different conversation. But who knows what happened if you would have played him a little bit more? Maybe you ended up winning that game instead of losing in a shootout. So it's the frustrating thing to me the most is that we hear Hiller say one thing, and the way he's deploying them is a totally different way. It just annoys the hell out of me.
I like the icings you bring up, and Hockey Viz actually has this for folks that go to that website. And so the two Kings defensemen that are on the ice the most with icings, I don't think it's much of a surprise. Joel Edmondson, who loves nothing more, he'll take a slap shot from anywhere. He does it, and I respect it. I'll be honest.
I mean, he had 2 delay game penalties yesterday. Only one of them got called.
Because that's all he's looking to do: get it off my stick as fast as possible, right? Which is the exact opposite of what you should want from your defenseman. You want them to actually try to make a hockey play, and he just whacks it around. And Cody Ceci is the other one. So not much of a surprise there. And what happens if you ice the puck with the wrong, when Kopitar was hurt, their centers, Byfield is not Kopitar level yet with faceoffs. Deneau's usually pretty steady, but there's a risk level there, right? If you're with Laferriere was a winger playing center. He had a couple of good games where he started to win some faceoffs, but like that adds up. Not to mention that the no change thing. So yeah, I mean this is just modern hockey stuff where you want guys to be able to like make plays out of your zone. It's just that it shouldn't be like rocket science. And yeah, it is kind of strange when I thought the same exact thing, Russ, when he was like, I read the quote, like I have no worries about him defensively. Well, you do, otherwise he'd be playing more. You do, or unless he can easily say, well, I don't worry about him in the minutes that he's getting defensively. And again, I don't totally disagree with Hiller trying to wisely get Clark in there, right? But he's blowing away expectations. So now it's time to give him more, right? Like, I think it's time, and let's see what happens here. Because I find it hard to believe that Clark can perform defensively worse than CC. Like, I don't believe that, so, I mean, go back to the Nashville game. And this is the stuff that drives me nuts. Ryan O'Reilly's first goal of the game. Who got out-muscled in front of the net? Cody Ceci. So what are we doing here? Jordan Spence could have done that. Brant Clark could have gotten out-muscled just as easily. He's here for one reason, to be big. And he gets out-muscled by Brian O'Reilly, and he scores the goal. He just tipped it just over the goal line, just enough. But that's the one reason that you brought him here, because he's big and he doesn't get out-muscled, except he does. So what are we doing?
I mean, I remember this play in Dallas, and he got the ball, he got the puck up against the wall, and he turns around and like he sees, I forget which forward it was, like kind of streaking a little bit, and he tried a little alley-oop pass to kind of like almost a Hail Mary, and it's like, yeah, that's it's almost as good as an icing, I guess, except for the puck doesn't come back down your end. But it's a low probability play, but the fact that Clark had the balls to try to alley-oop it over everybody else to a streaking forward in hopes of a one-on-one with the goalie, like that's just not happening with everybody else. So like he had the wherewithal. There was a forward breathing down on him, and he still tried to make the play. Like those are the types of players you need, because yeah, it's a low probability, but that game Dallas was kind of making some momentum, and if he if he makes that play and swings the tide, that's just the type of defenseman that you need. I mean, where you look at CC and Edmondson are just trying to hit the puck as hard as they can outside the zone. So
yeah, it's yeah.
As much as we are on minutes watch for Brant Clark, we're also on contract watch for Adrian Kempe. We mentioned a couple contracts in the Coast to Coast segment. We're seeing a bunch of rumors out there that the team came in at 9 and Kempe thought that was way too low and was asking for around 10 or 10 and a half, and maybe now it's upwards of the 11, 12 mil. He's definitely backing it up with the 14 points so far in 11 games. Been far and away the Kings' best overall player. Where's your comfort level in the panic meter for the Adrian Kempe contract sweepstakes?
I forget where it was last time. What did I say? Like a 3 or 4?
I think you guys were both 4s, and I think I was a 6. Yeah.
I think I'm up to like a 5 now. Like, I think it's slowly creeping up. Like, we're getting next week's November. So I'll just raise it up 1 since we're moving a month into the season. So it's not like it's there. I don't know if halfway is like super panicky, but I'm feeling it. Like if it gets to trade deadline, I think I'd be like a 7-8. I guess maybe after the Olympics is what I said, 7-8, and then if he gets to the end of the season and he's not signed, then it's out automatic 10, and the fire alarms are going off. So but who knows? Still time. Not overly panicking yet.
I think I'd have probably stayed a 4 because there was some comments. I don't know if it was Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts a couple weeks ago or a week ago that was like that the contract talk should start to pick up again. But then there's, you keep seeing these other contracts, and, with Cooley at 10, I mean, the number just has to keep going up for Kempe. Like the fact that LA started at 9 or below 9 or something like that, which it's that's crazy to begin with. But at this point, with what we've seen in the market, I don't know how he doesn't get 11 plus. If they sign him for under 12, I think it's a win from a Kings standpoint. If they get him close to 10, I think that's a huge win for the Kings. But like my panic probably has crept to a 5 just because there's the report today that Dave Pignata of the Fourth Period on, I think it was on the Daily Face-Off. I don't know if it was on a podcast or something. He reported that the sides are still not close. Not to say that, and he went so far as to say I'm not talking about how the structure is. Is it going to be bonuses or is it going to be this? And it's like, they're not close. Now it's not, he did go on to say that, it's not as if they're not talking or not willing to talk or they're going to put it off or anything like that, which is still a good sign. And in general, I'm still not worried. I think it gets done just because I think it has to get done. Like there's no way the Kings can go on without Adrian Kempe. So I get the sense anyways that he really wants to be here. So I don't know. I still am not too worried. I still think it gets done. It's a little surprising given all these other contracts that there's been like an apparent unwillingness for this to get done. I presume from LA's standpoint. I mean, unless he's asking for like 14, like I can't imagine that there's not like a number that they can just comfortably get to. Like I said, 11 and a half, something like that, to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, I had some fun just discussing hypotheticals, because I'm the tinfoil hat master on Twitter, and I brought it up. I said, well, with all these people signing, wouldn't Adrian Kempe be the number one free agent if he decided to take it that far?
I mean, Brandon, that's the other thing. Yes. Now, because if I'm him, that's a yes. I love that. Like if I'm him, like if you love LA, which it seems he does, if you love living there, you got your family, like that's what you want. You want to set yourself up there, and that's by all means, be happy. If I'm being honest, if you want to go chase a cup in your career, you got to go. In my opinion, it ain't happening in the next couple of years. And then if it doesn't happen within the next couple of years, what are we looking at? Like, are we looking at a potential mini rebuild again, retool or something? So if you're Kempe, it just really comes down to if you want to try to chase a cup, go free agency. And if you love LA, you want to stay in LA, totally respect that. And I would totally get that too. Then hopefully this gets done, because you're right, Brandon.
I just think it's like sometimes it's like you want to go out and see what else is out there to know that you're right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and we maybe thought that about Gavrikov last year. Like we thought he was going to sign at New York for more, like he was going to go out there and get the bag more than what we thought that he was going to get from the Kings. But Gavrikov, is not Adrian Kempe for one. I think that you're looking at Kempe maybe goes out and like, hey, this team just offered me 8x12 on the first day of free agency. Like, Kings, I need you to match this. I want to stay here. But I just wonder. He would be the number one free agent. I think that he easily could probably get 12.5 on the open market, just because free agency, they usually overpay.
Yeah.
And then, he's picking a team. If he doesn't feel like he can win, like I also brought it up, like, does he go the McDavid route and just do like a 1-year extension to see what the Kings do, or a 2-year extension? But then you're throwing off that big 8-year try, which I guess for another team would be 7 years. And then you're a 31-year-old. Are you that big of a draw at 31? But if he puts up a point per game, say he puts up 90 points or 95 points for the Kings this year, like in the open market, he's getting 12.5 mil. Like, I don't care what anybody says. If he gets 95 points, he plays solid defensive hockey. He probably is going to play well in the Olympics with high-end talent. I don't see any reason that he doesn't get 12.5. Nav is saying 14 if he hits the market. I don't know about that, but I mean 12.5, 13 at the high end to a cup contending team, because he can play defense. He can play PK. He can definitely play in the power play. He can play in the first line. He's taken faceoffs this season. Like, there's
Literally
nothing that guy can't do.
He's thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
he's playing defense for the Kings.
So I don't know. I understand people's like, oh, he's not McDavid. He's not, McDavid got McDavid's contract is not the thing, right?
Agreed.
So, and the guy I brought up was Kyle Connor. Like, Connor is a more cerebral goal scorer. I think Kempe is probably better defensively. But it wouldn't surprise me if he got somewhere in that range in the open market.
Yeah, if he is so set on staying here, I mean, like, I think it'd be good business, right? To just say, okay, I'm just going to wait to sign. I'm going to go see what the best offer would be. You guys have to match it. I feel like as far as like his own personal life, that would probably be the best option you could make. I mean, as far as maybe, I don't know how obviously the Kings want to get him signed sooner, but yeah, if I'm Kempe, I'm waiting, to be honest with you, especially with how this team hasn't really progressed in the playoffs or really shown much success in the postseason. And who knows what his individual thoughts are how the ways the team's been constructed. Because, I mean, there's this stigma now across the NHL. We heard Connor Bedard say it the other day. The Kings are boring. So do you want to be playing for a team that's considered the most boring team in the NHL? I don't know a lot of superstar wingers that probably want to do that. I mean, Kempe he's not this big, like, spotlight type guy who, even though his celebrations are incredible, but it doesn't strike me as the guy who wants to steal the spotlight. But yeah, he's I don't know if he is really set on staying here as much as he might love living in the city. So I mean, but that'd be such a stain on Ken Holland, man. Oh, like, oh God, like, you come in here with all this talk of like building a winner now, you replace the GM, and then, I mean, obviously him and not to mention Luke Robitaille too, like both of them, that would stain their entire reputation here.
Yeah, teams would be drooling over Kempe. Just drooling over Kempe on July 1st. And I do find that interesting, because I always look at Kempe as like, doesn't like, he barely cracks a smile. He could score the biggest goal. Doesn't matter. He seems as cool as can be, but boy, he pulls out some celebrations though that like in some ways seem out of character, but in a weird way are very much in character. I mean, obviously I don't know him, but like I love it. It's fascinating. He's such a good talent. And I mean, I love watching him. I don't want him gone. But man, if you're any team with where the cap is, there's teams now that have had some cap space. I mean, this could be like the best year to hit free agency. If you're a guy like Kempe, man,
the agent is always going to tell you to go get more money. That's their job. You know what I mean? And you hear about the contract talks in every sport, and it's usually the player saying to his agent, I want to stay here. Just get it done. I'll take less money or do whatever. Like, let's not take this, back and forth, nickel and diming or whatever, and now it's like more contracts are going to get signed as the season goes on. Like, all it does is make it the price go up if he continues to wait.
Yeah.
And he's just putting more and more evidence out there that he's deserving of this.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I thought, side note though, I thought, speaking of the celebrations, I thought it was funny because I take the train out to the Dallas games from where I'm at, because I'm in Fort Worth, so it's about a hour train ride to get out there. It's about 30-minute drive. But all the Dallas fans on the back, he's like, don't they know that doesn't he know that the Texas Longhorns are in Austin and we're in Dallas? And like, they're the close team is SMU. I was like, you guys are overthinking this, and it's pissing you guys off. So it worked. Like it's but for everybody who doesn't know, like, yeah, college football is huge out here, and like there's so many different teams, and like there's pockets of fan bases. But the number one team in Texas is the Texas Longhorns, and horns down, baby. Let's it pissed the fan base off. Yeah, I like it. So
beautiful.
Marty Natchez is unrestricted at the moment, and there's some intriguing RFAs. So, but you're right, Brandon. To that point, we're probably starting to see some contract signings continue to come through, right?
So, it's going to be definitely interesting as it goes down. And and I didn't say by now, I'm at a 7, just because I think I look at it this way. In I guess maybe I'm a 7 at this, and then I'm gonna kind of lay out why. Not that the contract maybe doesn't all get done, but what the contract could have been versus what it will be, and how does that hamstring a team? Like if you got this done at 10 in July and it ends up being 12, well, then that's a loss. That's a loss for the Kings. That's $2 million that you can move elsewhere. And we keep saying, yeah, the cap's going up. Well, guess what? Players are going to want more money to eat up that cap. It's going to happen around the league, and getting value out of players' contracts is the name of the game to win championships. How long did Boston have like their 3 best players at $7 million? Because they signed those contracts early. And so like we got a great value out of Kempe's contract now, and we can't expect to get the same value. But if they panic and have to deal at the end of the year and it's $12.5 million because he puts up 95 points and point per game player in the playoffs, and what if the Kings make it past the first round? That money is going to go up. And so I'm panicking the fact that either it's going to be a bad deal because we're going to overpay from what we could have paid, or we lose him. And that's kind of where I'm at 7.
Well, I see the comment, Mikey Money in the chat on TNT. Biz asked Kempe and said he's not worried about it. I wouldn't be worried about it if I was Kempe either. This guy's about to get a 7 or 8 million 8-year deal for $12 million per, give or take $1 million. I wouldn't be worried either.
He's not worried about a contract getting done. He didn't say with the Kings though.
Yeah, exactly. He's in the driver's seat. I'm going to go.
I'm getting paid no matter what, no matter where it is.
Yep. And to his credit, I'm sure. Hopefully it's with LA. Hopefully it is. And what, to your point, Brandon, what was 10 a couple months ago, may end up being closer to 12 at this point. I don't know. I mean, he's in a great spot. I would love to be Adrian Kempe right now.
a couple young teams on the upswing that, I mean, Kempe on the Mammoth or Kempe on the Montreal or some team, with Demidov, like that would be.
Yep. Buffalo could use a top 6 scoring winger.
Yeah. You just want him closer to you, Joe, so you could see him.
I would. That would be nice. That would be nice. Now, really quick, like along these lines, like in all seriousness, this would be panic level like 11, because there's a scenario where the Kings lose their entire first line. Like Kopitar's retiring. If Kempe leaves and Kuzmenko's on a 1-year deal, how do you recover from that?
You don't.
And then you still have Cody CC and Joel Edmonds.
You still have Cody CC.
With the potential mid-round pick.
We thought we thought that what we had to pay to get rid of Cal Peterson's contract was a lot.
I do think I
But I think it's interesting to continue going down that because you have Kopitar retiring. You assume Kuzmenko doesn't get re-signed if Kempe leaves. And then if Kempe leaves, you have that. At that point, where is Quentin Byfield in this? Maybe he's not a true number one. This team is going into a rebuild at that point, or retool, or whatever. There's no playoff team at that point.
Yeah, if that's worst case scenario, right? That's a big problem. So, holy crap!
I know we're pissing people off in the chat, but like, there is a scenario where that happens.
I think Kempe, I think he stays. Like my sense is, and I say this as a 100% outsider, but from everything I've watched and listened to, I think he genuinely wants to stay. I think he likes LA. I think that's where he wants to settle down. I think he wants it to be LA. So, and I cannot imagine LA not getting to an appropriate number, right? I that too. Like I know, like it's easy to pile on LA right now for them starting at such a bad spot, really, or at least if they started there, that's one thing. They evidently stayed there because like you could have. It shouldn't have taken this long to get to a realization, and so I just cannot imagine LA doesn't actually come to the number that works for Kempe. So I do think this gets done. I don't know if if it is a full 8-year deal or if it's something shorter. I don't know, but I gotta think that this gets done. And yeah, Al Smith says in the chat, did Gavi want to stay? I mean, all the comments. This is why it's tough to take guys at the word. Like they're going to stay kind of generic, cryptic stuff because a lot of talk was that Gavrikov was happy and he wanted to stay, and he sure as heck looked like it. There were some reports out there, I think, that it was likely that the deal gets done. And then it never did, obviously. So it's hard to say with these things. But I think he stays.
Kempe is going to do what's best for Kempe.
Yeah. And what is best for Kempe? Is it family in LA? I want to settle down here. Let's get this done. Or is it, I got one more part of my career here to go win a cup? And I can't blame him for either. Whatever he chooses is whatever. But, let's see what happens. But that scenario is in the back of my head, and it kind of scares me. And maybe sort of along these lines, Brandon, like Brandt Clarke's an RFA, and I'm just as my panic level on Brandt Clarke is higher than it is for Adrian Kempe. I'll put it that way.
In
Where's
what
your panic level there?
That he doesn't sign a contract with the Kings as an RFA?
Yeah.
No, I think he's panicking. I think he's panicking that they're going to trade him.
Yeah.
That he's going to force his way out of LA?
Either one or the other. Because remember, when I watched that exit interview of Jordan Spence, I was like, whoa, he wants out. Like he was very vocal in that exit interview. So him being dealt wasn't a surprise. And if we see a full season of this with Brandt Clarke, like he's going to get antsy, and I don't know if he'll force his way out per se, maybe, but I don't know, I don't know. Like, I'm not convinced that the Kings are going to give him a Lane Hudson deal. And if they don't, then I don't know, or a Jackson Lacombe or any of these young defensemen we talked about before, I don't know that they're going to offer him that. And I don't know, like what, he's an RFA, so he'll probably be around for another year, couple years, but like this will come to a head. And I just wonder what that is, whether it's him saying, hey, kind of him, however Jordan Spence, he wanted a bigger opportunity, maybe something like that with Clarke, or if the organization is just like, we don't think he's worth the money that these other guys are getting on contracts, so we're not going to give it to him, and so maybe they shop him. I don't know, but I'm a little concerned about that. Maybe I'm too soon there, but I'm a little concerned.
I still think he was the one that was involved in that Rasmus Anderson deal. I feel like that's still being talked about too. to be honest with you. The way that
Interesting.
they're deploying Clark, the way that everything's happening right now, I wouldn't be surprised if by the trade deadline we see like Clark for Anderson, and then they just give
Wow.
Anderson a big contract. To be honest with you, they don't trust him.
You're right. That's fair, Russ. Yes. Yeah, you're right.
If you sell off my boy Ken Holland, I'll never forgive you.
Well,
Ever.
you're right though, because it's so contradictory to everything they did in the offseason. But Rasmus Anderson, like that was a serious multi-reported, like this was a deal or this was really close type of thing. And what I forget the words, I think it was Darren Dreger that used like it was a monster deal, something to that effect from LA. And it's like that has to include Brandt Clark. But wasn't it Anderson didn't want to do it?
Yeah, he didn't want to sign the extension here.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I don't know if that would change then. You know what I mean? That's the part where it gets sticky because I don't know that changes. That part changes.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It depends on. Well, I think that for him it depends on the money, right? Like at the deadline, if they're not getting as many offers, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, holy cow! You said it earlier, Randon. Like, good Lord, if Kempe walks, they Kopitar retires, and God forbid whatever happens if with Kuzmenko goes or if Clark goes, what he's did to the decor, like that's like one of the worst first years of a GM in like ever.
I think I'd have to probably take a year off watching Kings hockey and all that. Just hiatus. You could bring in an intern for my chair here on Hockey Royalty for a year, and then I'll come back out of the shadows, out of retirement when I'm done sulking.
But here's what's going to happen. Kempe's going to sign, and by God, Clark's going to he's going to start to push 20 minutes a night, and all is going to be fine.
There we go. There's the cherry on top.
There we go. I appreciate it. You got to leave. You got to leave with a positive. But people, Viking Vikings like, hey, I love how pessimistic everybody is. But so to us, this is a show by fans, for the fans, and fans talk about this stuff. Like
it's a scenario.
This is if all three of us were at a bar having a beer, we would be talking about this. So this is kind of like it's not like,
and I don't think
possible.
Yeah, it's not crazy. Like look at the way they operate. Look at the way that they, they've
look at the last few years.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, this is a defense group that used to have Drew Doughty. And Matt Roy.
Joe, I'm going to interrupt you here because Dimitri just comes in with $100 holler.
Dimitri,
fire Hiller.
Okay, he's committed to the task.
He is.
Wow.
He wants the cover to be gutted. That's what he wants. He wants Hiller out of there. He wants to keep Clark boy. Dimitri.
Hey, so we
appreciate the big money,
obviously, right? Dimitri, you're the man. We appreciate everything, but
thank you.
Well, let's make this a quick segment because this is a big topic right now, right? Across Kings is Jim Hiller. Like what? How? Let's just say, like, how big of a hot seat is he on right now? If this team continues, obviously they got the points, but like, how big of a hot seat is if like the overall performances don't continue or continue the way that they're playing right now? Because it hasn't been great, right? Like we're just kind of expecting, like we're giving them pass because they've gotten the points, especially in the road trip, but. What if they don't get those points, right?
I don't even think his seat's warm, let alone hot. They've just picked up 9 out of possible 10 points on the road. And I think, and the reason I say this, Russ, is because I think Ken Holland, they're on the same wavelength in how they want to win games. And I think that I can totally see Ken Holland saying, you know what? We got to give this, we got some new guys in here. Give these guys time to adapt, solid 20 games or so. I think if they went 1-4 on this road trip and they lost to San Jose, like we might have seen a firing because of the way they started, but they didn't. Like, I don't even think this is a big topic. You're right, among fans. And thank you again, Dimitri. And I think the way the season started and the results were kind of going along with it. And, and I love the article that Helene Elliott wrote a couple days ago, but like they're 3-3-3. Don't call them 500. They've won 3 games and they've lost 6. So that's not 500. But, then they've played, they've been able to pick up points on the road. And I think, I can see a GM like Ken Holland, kind of that old school mindset, saying something along the lines of like, hey, he's been able to manage us he's managing these games, getting points when we're not playing the best. He'll right the ship. He's done it before. So I think this road trip bought him a significant amount of time.
Do you think, I'm not surprised, but Jim Montgomery had that. He pretty much like got another coach fired for the Blues to sign him. And Peter DeBoer has been successful everywhere he's been. I know there was some pretty bad publicity with how he handled the Ottinger thing, and maybe that's a qualm for future teams. But are you kind of surprised as I am that he hasn't gotten picked up by anybody? Because he would be like, if they were to fire Hiller, like he's got playoff experience, and like he would be the type of coach that I think the Kings, or a type of coach that a team who has playoff aspirations that has not met expectations so far would sign.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when the firing happened, and like what vacancies were there. Like,
wasn't it later?
I feel like it was. I feel like it was kind of late. And there wasn't really a whole lot left for DeBoer. So I don't know. I that's a good shout, Randon. I just think that I really feel like if that was the case, if they really wanted DeBoer, he'd be here by now. I don't think Holland would wait for losses to pile up, because again, Holland's not here to build. Holland's here to win immediately. So as much as I think he's going to give Hiller, I would suspect like maybe through November, and really have a serious, like if he goes on like a really tough stretch here over the next couple of weeks before leading into Thanksgiving, then maybe this is another conversation. But I don't think it's much of one right now.
It's wild that they only have 2 regulation wins, 11 games in the season. And the one they got last night was, you could consider that lucky that it even ended in regulation.
And mind you, Russ, like it's early days, so we'll see. But we've seen like it could very well come down to that tiebreaker, depending on where the Kings fall here. I like at the Pacific Division outside of Vegas, and I know Edmonton, they're 5-4-2, but Vegas and Edmonton, I think, are still clearly the best teams in the division. But like, if Seattle's going to play this good, and if Anaheim's going to play this good, like, and LA is going to play this bad, like, there's going to be competition for that third spot, and tiebreaker could be a factor there. And they've to have just 2 regulation wins is pretty crazy right now.
And pretty much every win has been 1 goal, obviously with the overtime of the shootout. But even the one in Chicago was an empty net goal that Armia almost Patrick Stephon at the end there. But like that, it's concerning that they're not able to put some of these teams away like earlier. They're just kind of like struggling. And then obviously on the other side of the coin, they're not being put away themselves. So I get that. But
the chaos, the chaotic kind of
with how upset we were at the beginning of the year, with how some of those overtime games weren't going their way. We could be having a totally different conversation if these overtime games didn't go our way, or Tampa didn't have those 2 goals. So
then it's a conversation.
Yeah, we were going to talk about the homestand. I think we can get into that a little bit too. Like that's where this next 4 game.
Well, before that, we got a $2 holler here from Javier Matt.
Oh, okay.
Byfield again with the mess start. What do you guys feel about Byfield? 8 points in 11 games. Was a point per game player before the end of the road trip, kind of fallen off the last couple games. But overall, what do you guys think of his play?
Well, first of all, thanks again, Dimitri, for that super chat. That was awesome, man. We really appreciate it. You tuning in, and obviously everybody tuning in. It's we love this community, and We love chatting Kings hockey with you guys. And thanks, Javier, for the super chat. We appreciate all super chats. I mean, we don't discriminate, obviously. So, yeah, I think I'm not really too worried about Byfield, to be honest with you. Strong start, maybe struggling a little bit last few games, but how many points did he have? He's got
8
points in 11 games. There could be worse numbers. So I think with just kind of the long road trip, maybe Kopitar being out put him in different situations that maybe he wasn't a part of, or higher elevated situation, which I get the other side of the argument where that's where he should be. So there's that. But yeah, I'm not too concerned with Byfield right now.
That's a 60-point pace is what he's on.
Yeah, like production wise, yeah, I think, you know, we kind of want / expect / need the production to follow, and here we go again with this conversation, right? It's a fair one that Javier is bringing up from a production standpoint, but it's been early, and I think he's been pretty good. In the tracking that I'm doing, I got him. He leads the team in shot assists. He leads the team in scoring chance assists. He leads the team in scoring chance contributions. So he's very, very involved. All that at 5-on-5. So I think he's playing fine. I get it, like production wise, but I'm also not upset about 8 and 11. 8 points in 11 games. I think that's fine. But again, you know, if we want this team to take a legit step, he needs to take a legit step, and that needs to be a step, you know, more like 70 something points. And which I still think can happen. Like I said, I really liked him. I'm writing down his number a lot when I'm doing the track and stuff that I'm doing. So I think he's very involved. I think still more to come here from Byfield.
I mean, yeah, Kempe scored the goal, but he's the reason they won in Dallas. Like chasing that puck in OT, like going across the ice, chasing it, beating that player, and then also making the pass. Like he's the reason that goal is scored. So, you know, I get it. You know, he's a -3, you know, the plus minus, you know, a lot of people like that stat, but he's playing a lot of PK minutes. Their PK hasn't looked good. But I think offensively and as a goal scorer and a facilitator, I think he's looked quite well.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm looking more further into the numbers, and Byfield's only got 3 points, 5-on-5.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you'd like to see that tick up a little bit. Yep. I think obviously with LaFerriere struggles, maybe that line just hasn't really got going as well as we wanted it to be. And we talked a little bit about that earlier. I mean, because Kevin Fiala, I mean, if we're upset about Quentin Byfield, we should be upset about Kevin Fiala because he's got 8 points too, and he's a -4. So I think with the way that the LaFerriere have been playing, he's kind of picking up his game. And once they get back home, I think we'll see that line start to mesh a little bit better than they had at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and also, like, you remember, like, they had, you know, LaFerriere wasn't with him for a couple of games. They had a different winger for a little bit. And yeah, I think, like I said, LaFerriere was excellent against Chicago. So if he can keep that type of performance going, that type of play going, then yeah, I think that that line will be fine. But again, it kind of needs to. I would hate to be having this exact Javier. See us in a month, and if we're having this conversation again, we got a problem. It's like this. We can't do it again.
I'm, you know, looking at he's going to have a chance to prove himself, and we were about to go into the future here, or the upcoming schedule, because in the next 10 minutes before we call it a night. But we have Detroit, New Jersey, Winnipeg, and Florida. All playoff teams at the moment. Going to be a big opportunity for Byfield to show his merit there. Before we exit here, what do you guys think about this homestand and kind of where this team could sit, or kind of what we expect out of these 4 games?
Yeah, it seems like there's no time to take a break, really. I mean, you got 4 solid hockey teams. One in Detroit, who maybe not a lot of people were expecting to be playing as well as they are, but can't ignore that record of 7-3. So they're playing some great hockey. Tom McClellan returning back to LA, so they'll be playing for their coach. So that's gonna be a great game. And there's always that talk of teams that come back home after a long road trip. That first home game, they kind of struggle a little bit. So that's gonna be a tough one. You want to see the Kings come out strong, and the rest of the road trip or the rest of the homestand, you have Devils, we talked about them too. Look great. Winnipeg, always a solid defensive team, with great goaltending, obviously. And then you have Florida, who's hurt, but 2-time Stanley Cup champions. So this isn't a homestand to ignore. Like, this are some 4 big games. And with the way that they started at home, too, at the beginning of the year, they need to start piling on some of these wins to make the home fans, the crowd, happy.
Yeah, and just as the road trip was a bunch of non-playoff teams, with the exception of Dallas, here, as Brandon points out, you got some teams that are legit good teams, like the Devils, like the Jets, but then you also, and the Panthers, and then you've also got a team like the Red Wings who's playing pretty well. But not to get too ahead of ourselves, guys, but like, if you look at the road trip that they go on after that, at Pittsburgh, at Montreal, at Toronto, at Ottawa, at Washington, and then it ends at San Jose. So like, the next 10 games really are, this is a stretch here.
Well, that was going to be my point, because my point is like this. To me, I think the Kings need to get. I think 6 would be an excellent homestand if they lost just 1 game, because they're going to go on the road, and like, yeah, they got 9 out of 10 points last time on the road, playing bad hockey. But like you said, the teams aren't compared to the teams on the road coming up. Pittsburgh, we weren't thinking they were going to be a good team, but they're playing good hockey. Montreal's in first place. Going into Toronto is not always the easiest, even though they're not playing as well. Mm-hmm. I really like the Ottawa Senators, even without Brady Tkachuk. Washington was a playoff team, and, we barely beat San Jose and San Jose again. Because then at that point, the season, you're at the 20th, which is 1 week from Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. If this team doesn't turn out a good record and we'll say it again, American Thanksgiving is a big indicator who's going to make the playoffs. I think we're going to find out. Let's just put it this way. I think we're going to find out who the Kings really are in the next homestand and road trip.
Yeah. And you asked Brandon, like, what do you expect? I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue what to expect. Like, I very uninspiring play. And I'm curious to see how a team like Detroit comes in and plays that matchup. So they were just on the road in St. Louis. And then like the Devils, in theory, is a team that could and should just skate all over the Kings. I don't know, but we'll see. Like, I don't know what to expect. But you could easily see Kemper steal a couple games again. So,
the way Kings hockey has been in the last couple of years, we're going to be so ho-hum about this homestand, and they're going to come and beat Detroit 6-1 and then go handily beat the Devils, and fans are going to be like, yeah, this team's legit. That's just kind of how the ups and downs of Kings hockey usually is.
Like, if they went 2-1 in these for 2 whatever in these games, not going to be surprising. If they went 3-1, I don't believe that they can play the way they're playing and continue to win. Like, they're not going to go 4-1 in the next stretch if they keep playing like this, because these teams will take advantage of that. So they have to start to play better.
Such a brutal schedule. You're home for a week, and then now you're on the road again for 6, going to all those Canadian teams. And jeez. Yeah, but I agree with you, Randy. We're really going to know what this team is after this stretch of next 10 games or so.
And they're going to go 500. It'll be 5-5. We'll learn nothing.
Having the same conversation. Oh, they want points. They look terrible. Maybe they're winning some games. Play 6 more overtime.
Tempe bailed them out. Overtime. Yeah, I don't know.
We're in this perennial or eternal cycle of just mid, and then so we get to the April where we should just replay the Edmonton Oilers preview from last year and just say, hey, we're not going to do any more live shows. Rewatch what we said last year. It's the same thing. And then I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Well, what I don't hate is our fans here at Hockey Rotate. Thank you guys for being such a positive part of our night every time that we come on here. Please read our articles. Speaking of articles, shout out to Kyle Garcia for getting his article published on LA Kings Insider. So appreciate that, Kyle. Always good work there.
Shout out to the Kings and to Zach Dooley for giving him the opportunity to do that. That was awesome. Good on those guys.
Yeah, Kyle does. We love Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle's awesome.
Does tremendous work. We're trying to get him on the pod. He gets a little shy coming on the pod sometime. We need to get him back on talking rain because the rain is pretty good too. So we got to get him on here talking about the rain. So Kyle, if you're listening, we need you back on here talking rain hockey. But yeah, thanks to the Kings. That's awesome that and Zach Dooley to give Kyle that opportunity. He deserves that and more for the work he's doing.
All of our other articles are at hockeyroyalty.com. Russell Morgan is swimming in shirts. So please take some shirts off his hand. We got our deals there at the bottom to hit him up on X to place your order. All of our Twitter handles are scrolling across the bottom. It is hockey season. Hopefully the Dodgers can muster 2 more wins for all you guys in LA to bring the championship home. And let's hope for the Kings put some more points on the board. As always on this podcast, go Kings go.